Hey guys, it is Nick here with another Nick's Topics Dragon Ball What If topic video for you guys today. And today, we are getting into part 13 of What If Giran Became a Z-Fighter, which this series is actually coming to a close in the next few parts. Anyways, to recap the last episode, we recap on the Resurrection F saga and Mega Frieza being the one who appears instead of normal Frieza because he wasn't sliced and diced by future Trunks like he was in the original story. We also got to see some familiar faces in the eyes of the Frieza Force, including Kui, who did not die all this time and was off planet, and the Ginyu Force, who Frieza decided to utilize all of these men and to no avail. In the end, with the sheer might of not only the Z-Fighters, but Goku, Giran, and Gohan, and their tremendous gains with Beerus, albeit without Vegeta. Frieza, even in his Mega State and Ultimate Power, was no match. Even pulling out his Golden form, which is even stronger than the original Golden Frieza, it ultimately came to no success for him. But he did do better than he did in the original story, so give credit where credit's due for that regard. Beerus was also very pleased. Not only with Goku and Gohan's gains with the powers of Super Saiyan God, but Giran, who he deemed worthy to be the next candidate for Destroyer in the future, using the Destroyer powers very successfully against Frieza. Now, over the time skip of the end of the Resurrection F arc and the beginning of the Universe 6 tournament arc, we see the introduction of Champa and Vados of the 6th universe, and the two destroyers squabbling and starting the Universe 6 versus Universe 7 tournament. Now, I ended off with the note that members might be a problem. Well, not the first four. Goku, obviously, is going to be a member. Gohan is actually going to take part, unlike the original story. Piccolo is still going to be there, so nothing's changed there. And Giran is going to take part. Now, who's going to be the final member, you might ask? Since there's no Vegeta, we obviously can't use him, and using one of the humans would be good, but is it really going to be successful in the attempts of fighting Champa's universe? Well, the last mantle goes to Monica. Now, why is that, you might ask? Well, let me explain. If I have not said it enough already, Vegeta's influence in the story of Dragon Ball is crucial to many events in the series happening. Without Vegeta, Monica is the next best thing, because one, the group would be weaker without him in the long run. Getting good gains on their own, but Beerus seeing only humans and what he's seen from these people, it honestly would mean that he would go with Monica, for one thing. And for two, even when Goku and Vegeta were training on his planet and Gohan was off planet, it's kind of like a role reversal, because honestly, Monica would be the end result in the end anyway. So, the team is set. Goku and Botamo, that fight still goes per normal. Goku still gets eliminated by Frost by the poison. Frost still eliminates Piccolo. Nothing changes there throughout the first few fights. But this time, whenever Piccolo gets reinstated after everyone finds out the trick of Frost poison, since Vegeta's not there to butt in and take the win for himself, Piccolo actually fights Frost again, and with the poison now out there, Piccolo wins this, being stronger than he was in the original story, and actually using his power and craftiness to a whole nother level. Now, unfortunately for Piccolo, he is no match against Vegeta. Even though he's stronger than the original DBS story, against Monica, it's still no slice. Because he's easily suffocated out of the ring, and Monica's just too tough for him. Gohan, on the other hand, who is up next, uses his raw power and cunning to outlast the fire and heat from Vegeta and wins the match. Now, The next match is Gohan against Kaba. And I feel that Gohan would still teach Kaba the Super Saiyan transformation. It would just be in a way nicer way than Vegeta did with Kaba. And the two would have a very friendly fight. And nothing truly brutal would come of it, unlike Vegeta versus Kaba. Now, we get to the final match. Yes, that's it already. A Gohan versus Hit. And this is a very, very good fight. Hit is actually forced to use as much power as he did against Goku in the original story, if not more, because of Gohan's more tactical and ultimately finessed approach towards Hit's time skip. But unfortunately, Hit still takes the win. But it's a close one, though. Giran would be the next one to step up. Why not Goku, you might ask? Well, simple answer, Goku went last before Monica in the original story, so to see everyone else fight before him, in this sense, wouldn't be too outlandish. And Giran powers up his destroyer energy, which Hit is most surprised at, not just because of someone using the destroyer powers, not just because he's an apprentice to a destroyer, not just because of the raw power, but because of the skill and ultimately brutal tactics he uses against him. And Hit already being injured from Gohan, he loses the fight pretty much rather handily. And in the end, Zeno would appear, and Goku and Zeno, I feel, would still have the same interaction, so nothing would really differentiate there. But ultimately, the Universe 6 tournament comes to a close there. What about the Zamasu arc, you might ask? Since I pretty much didn't really cover that in the last story, for obvious reasons. Well, I thought of going with a Black Giran, or Giran Black. Now, before you guys start saying anything, no, this is not actually going to happen. I'm going to discuss more why that is. And why specifically Giran Black? Well, simple. Because Giran used the destroyer power against Hit, which I feel that Zamasu would take to great dissatisfaction. True, Gohan did fight Hit for the longest time, but you gotta think, compared to Gohan's god powers between Giran using the power of a destroyer, I feel that Giran Black would be the most, appropriate choice for Zamasu. But there's a thing which is going to turn Zamasu's plan into a very bad option. Because future Giran and his timeline, and with future Giran's gains after Goku died against the androids, since Piccolo is still alive here, that means that the Earth Dragon Balls would still exist. So, Goku would have been wished back along with any remaining humans that died in the androids' fight and everything. So, even with a Black Giran and a Zamasu, which is immortal, with Goku and everyone alive in that timeline, there'd be no need to travel back in time, because Zamasu and Giran Black would ultimately just be killed in the end, and Zamasu just be sealed. So, the end result is not good for Zamasu. So, that pretty much wraps up that arc pretty quick. And as for the Copy Vegeta arc, or Monica arc and stuff like that, not really relevant in terms of the overall story. Now, all goes well with training and stuff for the Z Fighters until the Grand Priest arrives on the Supreme Kai's planet and says that Zeno wants to ask for a tournament between all universes. And the roster might be harder for the Z Fighters to choose this time in terms of members. That's where we leave things for the moment. So, what did you guys think about this episode? Do you like the way that the Universe 6 vs. 7 tournament played out in this story? What do you think could have happened had Zamasu went for Gohan or someone else in the end against the Z Fighters? What do you think the team is going to do for the Tournament of Power roster? Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, and I will see you guys next time.